All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is your favorite warlock here, practicing necromancer. And today I want to discuss self education. Why is it important? In a day and age where everything is being stripped, from your legal rights to your speech, everything, even your own body, okay, is being limited by governments. One of the biggest things here in the US right now is abortion rights. Who gives the government the right to decide what or who has, can tell you what you can do with your own body? The answer is nobody. Okay. If you are being harassed by law enforcement officials, knowing your rights, such as the Fourth and Fifth Amendments, for an example, will allow you to basically tell them to piss off. Why? Because all they have and can do is tell you why they pulled you over. You do not have to say one thing. You don't even have to share information with them. Okay. So if you're walking down the street and they say, hey, come here, you look like somebody we've been looking for. Let me see your ID. You can say, do you have a warrant? Plain and simple. Otherwise, piss off. Plain and simple. If you're stopped by an officer on the road while you're driving, you do not have to say one thing. You hand them your license, your registration, and then say, "May I go?" Plain and simple. You get a summons, maybe a ticket, whatever. But you don't have to say anything at all. And this falls underneath the category of remaining silent. Okay? Ironic how that also applies to religious studies. So many people get hurt so easily these days over religious discrimination, religious studies, practices. And yet they fail to realize that every single one has an altar. Every single one worships spirits, deities. They all have doctrines, grimoires, Bibles, whatever you want to call them. But everybody assumes that they're right. A lot of times you'll find that this is done through ego and pride. Counterproductive pride is, well, let's just say the number one sin, not just stupidity or egotistical pursuits. As an ordained clergyman, the one thing that I recommend to my apprentices is know your rights. Okay, know where you can go. A lot of times you may not know what division to apply to, especially when filling out reports. I mean, for an example, you could go underneath healthcare services, underneath the Department of Justice. You can fill out a report for religious discrimination, being singled out, harassed, bullied, having riots set against you, whatever, okay, over a corporation. It does not matter because that particular division may not even be able to handle that because you got to remember they have certain creeds and certain codes that they go by. The First Amendment literally befalls freedom of speech and freedom of religion. You have the Canaan laws, but you have to remember that this is broken down between federal, state, and what we refer to as borough laws. Each district has a right to limit or deny or even set what they identify as a protected religion. Okay, so having that education and the motivation to seek out that knowledge is very, very good for you as the individual. It does not matter what path you're on. It does not matter if you are JCI. It does not matter if you are a Satanist. It does not matter if you are Wiccan or pagan. You could be a voodoo practitioner or a Palo Mayombe practitioner, Santa Morte devout worshiper. Does not matter. Your education is in your own hands. You got to remember that in the occult world, the word gnosis means hidden. Okay? This means that you have to seek out that knowledge at your own discretion. No one has a right to limit or to deny you your right to learn, to educate. A lot of these cults, not to be mistaken with occult, try to limit and deny certain individuals, be it from gender, race, creed, or class. You consider underneath, say for an example, the 1010 Congress of 117, okay, statute. It clearly says that a woman has a right to either conceive a child, to give birth to a child, or to end and terminate that fetus based on health and safety reasons. It also goes further and says that no individual has a right to limit or deny or even get involved in that. See, a lot of people don't realize that. So, I mean, as a minister, it sickens me personally to see these cults, such as ISIS, such as the Taliban, now, telling women you don't have a right to educate yourself, that you don't have a right to make your destiny for yourself. That sickens me. That offends me as a man. If you think about it, even the Bible itself says that man should not be alone. That is why Eve was created as a partner, an equal partner. Even in the Quran, it says that this was a philosophy that was based off peace and understanding. So why do people want to get involved with cults? A lot of times it's out of rebellion. A lot of times it's misguided trust. You got to remember that if you're going to read and get into a doctrine of any kind of philosophy, you might want to study their history. You might want to study their philosophies, the culture itself. For an example, if you are into Catholicism, be it Roman Catholicism or mainstream Catholicism, you might want to look into the Canon laws. The Canaan laws allow you to understand what does it take to be an archbishop or a bishop in general. What does it mean to be a minister, an elder in any given community? The Canaan laws literally describe the details of the job. Okay, my journey started in 2011 as an elder, as a minister, an ordained deacon, before becoming an ordained minister in 2013, and finally this year, an archbishop. When you grow and mature in your path, and keep in mind, I've been doing this since I was 11 years old. It's been a long journey, and I've studied many paths, different roads. And you consider even in, say, for an example, Matthew's chapter 7, verses 13 and 14, it says in the King James Bible or the New King James, it says that there are many roads, but only one gate. The road is narrow, meaning there's going to be a lot of turmoil. There's going to be a lot of trials. No one said any particular religion is going to be easy. You actually have to work for it. And even if you go back before that and say verses 11 and 12, it says, knock and I will answer, seek and you will find, ask and it shall be given. As an occultist, as a practicing warlock, a practicing necromancer, the one thing I've learned is that over my time is that when you're working with elders, nothing is withheld from those who earnestly are seeking to practice. They do the work, you do the work, you apply it to your life, you experiment with it, and you become dedicated, committed to it. That's your pursuit, knowledge. Even Anton Zander LaVey, in his Bible, the Satanic Bible, said in the Nine Satanic Statements that Satan has been the best friend the church has ever had, for it is he who has kept it in business all these years. Wow. Imagine that. You need a bad guy, you need an adversary. That is why Satan was put into play back in the 16th century. The poetical texts. You go back into ancient Sanskrit, Hebrewism, Judaism. Ha Satan means adversary. You get into Islamic, you have El Shaitan, the King of Kings, so to speak. In Latin, you have Lucifer, meaning the bearer of light. Go into ancient Greek, and you have Phosphoros, the day star. Ironic, isn't it? Even in Roman, Lucifer is associated with Apollo. Egyptian, you have Ra. Inca, you have Inti. Interesting how you have all these sun gods. But you also got the lords of death like Hades, Anubis, and Supe. Hmm. Even Hespios. Wow. Go into Slavic traditions and you have Belobog and Chernobog. Every single tradition, every single culture throughout history as a being of light and a being of death or darkness. It does not matter what tradition or philosophy. When you have a doctorate of divinity like I do, what I've earned over a long time applying myself and mastering the art of theological studies of religion, you would be surprised what you can achieve. I'm basically considered a doctor, basically, of religious philosophies, not just education. I've worked through this for 12 years. That's dedication. That's commitment as a multi faith minister. And this started when a local minister realized how good I am with people. He suggested the ministry to me, he trained me. But what's interesting is you can do the same thing. Marcus Aurelius, in his book, The Meditations, said if anything is possible for a man, the same too can be for you too. Wow. Even Friedrich Nietzsche, in his book Beyond Good and Evil, states what a teacher is, what an educator is, and why knowledge is important. Sun Tzu in The Art of War, Machiavelli, for an example, Plato, Crato, all of these men, great philosophers, applied themselves to an area of study and practice. be it numerology, be it cultural, sociology, anthropology. Wow. Archaeology, study of the past. Interesting, isn't it? It's important for you to know that your studies is important. Your practices are important. Because if you don't take your path serious and you don't learn for yourself, how are you to evolve? How are you to grow? How are you to grow? If you want to be an elder someday and seen in your community, be it Santeria, Nigeria, Lukumi, Palo Monte, or Mayumbi, Kimbiza, Quimbanda, Umbanda, Voodoo, Satanism, Wicca, paganism, how do you expect to grow and mature if you don't apply yourself to your studies? I'm telling you right now, it's important. It's highly important because nobody else is going to do it for you. Somebody like me can give you tidbits, references, sources. We can even guide you as master to apprentice. But the choice is ultimately yours. Stagnation or growth. That's on you. Studio Nor, welcome to the channel. And with that said, I said my piece. Have a great one. I gotta go pick up my son from school. And he's got a surprise out at Mimi's house. So, yeah, his cousin's gonna be out there today. And he's gonna be so ecstatic. He hasn't seen him in a while. So, with that said, have a good one. May you forever evolve. And remember, whatever you practice or whatever you preach, always back it up with multiple references. And whatever you do, always make yourself available to the public because you are responsible for the things that you say and do. All right. With that said, have a good day. And until next time.